24 is the final battle. They're going after Trump, and if they can get Trump, it means they can get you, they can get me, they can get all of us. He is standing in the way, and that can sound like a campaign slogan, but it's very true. Now we're approaching the most important battle of our lives. Now, for the very first time in American history, a sitting president's DOJ has indicted his top political rival ahead of a presidential campaign. When they indicted me for nothing, I said, now the doors are off. Now we have to say if I'm Now we're approaching the most important battle of our lives. If you fuck around with us, if you do something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before. When we get back power, I don't really want to have peace with these people who did this to us and are continuing to do this to us. We have to turn the tables on them, give them a dose of their own medicine, and then we can even the playing field, and then we can discuss unity.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Patriot Underground. Today is January 24th, 2026. Thank you so much for joining me, folks, to discover the truth beneath the surface. As always, I really do appreciate everybody out there taking the time to listen. And today, as you folks know, I have the honor of welcoming my good friend, once again, Matt Geiger of Verity Metals. How you doing tonight, brother? Or today,
doing great. Say. Yeah, right. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. It has been.
Yeah, doing great, man. What a week. What a time to be alive.
I couldn't agree more, man. Personally for me, it's just been a crazy day. I've had a lot of stuff going on around the house today. And of course, I've been paying attention to the news. And once again, things are popping off big time in Minneapolis. We're going to talk about that, of course. But every time I have Matt on the show, of course, our primary focus is precious metals. And as you know, we joked last time that every time we do a show, it seems like we have this metaphysical ability to move the market. And joking, of course, but once again, that turned out to be the case. I think I had you on about a month ago. And at that point in time, I want to say, I mean, you would know better than I, but I want to say silver was hovering around was it $70 about a month ago? Can't really recall, but maybe a little bit more. I don't know. But
something like that. I could pull up the charts, but yeah, it's probably somewhere around there. I mean, maybe in the 60s. Yeah, I'd say around 70. It was kind of hitting, it's like, okay, it hit 52 and then hovered back down to 47. Then it hit 62 and hovered back down to 50. So it was kind of making those, little corrections here and there. But here we are at what, 103.50, 103.50?
Yeah, let me go.
Unbelievable.
Let me pull up the chart here, man, and let's take a look. And that's really how we like to structure these shows. I mean, I have Matt on, and we like to begin talking, of course, about the precious metals market because he is the expert. It's one of the reasons I love to have him on, but also we're going to segue into talking about everything that's going on. And then once we've covered the landscape, we'll come back toward the end and we'll talk a little bit more about Verity Metals. So this is the current price. Let me just refresh that and make sure it's accurate. Yeah. So we're looking at spot price of 103 for silver and gold, just a touch under $5,000, man. So, I mean, it's been absolutely insane. This is historic price action. And, of course, everybody out there who's invested in silver, you, me, probably most of the audience, we're thrilled to see that happen. But it's also important to talk about what are the driving factors behind that? What does it indicate moving forward? So I'm going to turn it over to you for a few minutes and just kind of give us your analysis. Since the last time we spoke, we've seen this historic jump in price, silver at $100. I mean, a year ago it would have been hard to imagine. I mean, those of us who have believed in precious metals, we saw this coming, but this has taken the rest of the world by surprise, I'm sure. So why don't you just kind of give us your take on the broad spectrum of what's happening with precious metals? What is it indicating in terms of the decreasing confidence in the fiat dollar? And just kind of give us your perspective, your overall perspective on where we're at right now.
Sure. And I'll start off by saying congratulations to your audience who, got in at these lower levels. If you had done business with me at the beginning of the week, you're already up by the end of the week. So that's nice. Back when we were buying silver, 15 and 20 and 30, it was sitting there, right? Because of course, market manipulation, price suppression by the big banks.
Yep.
And I think what you're really watching right now is you're watching really the paper market separate from the physical market. Mm-hmm. And what these bankers are getting caught with is they're getting caught with these toxic short positions. They're completely toxic. These things are literally taking up. These banks are now having to swap knowingly fake silver contracts, fake ounces. They have to find a buyer for these things of fake ounces. They're literally caught in their own game. Trump literally caught them and literally entrapped them in their own little scheme that they've been making.
This is what we call the silver squeeze, basically.
The silver squeeze, exactly. Yep. So what you're really seeing right now is you're seeing that market manipulation being removed. So I think really all people are seeing right now is you're just seeing the true price of silver starting to come to fruition. And I don't think it's $103 pay trade. I think it's going to be $1,000. I think it's going to be potentially $3,000. Mm-hmm. Gold, same thing. Gold is probably going to be $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 by the time we're done. And they're just letting their foot off the gas a little bit right now. So, and I just want to talk to the people that say, maybe they have their IRA in processing and they're sitting there just anxious to get into the market. I totally understand. We're rushing these things through as quickly as we can. Believe me. You haven't missed out on anything yet. Sure, if you would have bought silver at 50, obviously, all the better. But 100, you're probably paying for a silver eagle right now, 115, 120 with premium, right? So the idea is these are totally acceptable prices. I don't care if silver hits 300 by this time next week. Okay, it's still an acceptable price because the idea here is you need to offload. What this should signal to everybody is you're getting out of the Federal Reserve System. What I've heard, and look, this is just speculation because the key to this exercise, and this is very important for people to understand, no one's going to tell you what's really going on. Trump can't come out and tell you because he's got a whole agenda that he's got to enact, a whole new economic system and monetary system that he's trying to implement when this whole thing comes crashing down. The other side's not going to tell you because their system's falling apart and they're right. So, and certainly what do we know about the news? They're not going to tell you a damn thing, right? The news is running cover for these people and always will. We kind of have, we have to sort of think about these things logically. And this was brought to my attention recently. And that is, if silver, with the massive price increases that we've seen, the banks should already be like on death's door. So why aren't the banks, specifically Bank of America, Citibank, Maybe not so much JP Morgan, because JP Morgan does have somewhere around, I think, 1.5 billion to 2 billion ounces of physical silver in their possession. They're the ones really at the top of the top. I've heard rumors that what Trump did, because the bankers know what's about to happen. They've known this for years. And I think what Trump's been doing this whole time is he's been making deals with the bankers saying, hey, you're going to capitulate to me. You're going to follow my lead. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll take these short positions that you guys have exposure to, and we're going to just offload them to the Federal Reserve.
Exactly.
Right. Because remember back in 2020, right at the start of COVID, like March, I think it was March of 2020, Trump took the powers of the Federal Reserve and handed them over to the Treasury.
Yep.
So this is something this has been planned out already for 5 years, right? This didn't just happen overnight. I want people to understand that this is something that he's been, and what he's able to do is take leverage over the banking situation. So now these CEOs of the banks, Jamie Dimon, I don't know the CEO of Bank of America, whatever their names are, they're all probably coming to Trump behind the scenes saying, hey, help us out. So when we talk about that expression, gold takes down the Fed. And I think what Q meant by that was gold being synonymous with silver. Gold takes down the Fed. It's these, part of my language, these dog shit short positions that he's offloading onto the Federal Reserve so that he can keep solvency in the banks, at least keep up appearances in the banks, And that way there's not some crazy crash one day, because that doesn't do Trump and the white hats any good either, right? I mean, think about it. If you're, 80-year-old guy and all of a sudden you see your life savings disappear overnight in a banking crash, those people could have they'll have a heart attack and a stroke. You have, 25% of people over the age of 75 dropping dead within an hour, right? So Trump understands this. Yep. So I think what we're starting to get is an insight into what this collapse is actually looking like. And it's not going to be what people think. It's not going to be just all of a sudden one day, people are lined up around the bank to try to get their money out. It's going to be something different. It's going to be something much more subtle.
Yeah. How do you think that's going to look? Because that's actually something that I've been speculating about for quite some time. We've all understood that eventually there's going to be the exposure of the insolvency of the financial system. But what is that going to look like? Because I agree with you. If suddenly people's retirement accounts just disappear, they lose access to their money, that's going to have, sure, it would wake people up, but you don't want to have people jump off buildings and have people die in the process. Sure, we're at war, but I have to assume, and I've always assumed, that there was a much more subtle way that they were going to roll this out. And it seems to be much more pointing to the collapse of the Federal Reserve, but maintaining the solvency of the banks. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, okay, so what do we know about Trump? He's going to use the move that you're using against us. He's going to use it to take you down. So I would look at the 2008 crash, where we had this arbitrary 24-hour window that if we didn't hand over the banks tens of trillions of dollars, or else with a gun to our heads, right, we the people, that the whole financial system would go down and everybody would lose out.
And I think it's going to.
So I think that there's going to be this very small window of time, right? Small windows of time are a very good negotiation tool, because you don't have, right? There's not enough time to have a real dialogue. They don't have enough time to read the bill. They don't, right? It's going to be, Trump's going to come forward and say, hey, I can save the system. I could at least retrieve the majority of your money, right? He can come out and he can talk to the people, and he's going to have a real solution. He's going to say, hey, we can't let this ever happen again. We need to have real assets in these banks. Gold and silver back, maybe even platinum and palladium start to become money, because we need different, right, diversification within the dollar, which is why I've been actually telling people, okay, maybe silver starts to become difficult to get. Go get your hands on some platinum and palladium. I've been recommending platinum for the last year. People doubled their money in platinum. And it seems to me that silver and platinum prices have really moved up together. And now we're starting to see palladium move up. And these are the precious metals. These are monetary metals. Just so people understand, the United States mints American Eagle coins in gold and silver, but also in platinum and palladium. So it would seem to me that if the mint's producing that, it would seem to me that why are they producing a coin, a monetary asset, in platinum and palladium? That would seem to me that they could be used as money as well, right? So I think it's going to be the small window of time where people are going to have a choice between going with Trump and the White Hats or going along with the deep state who created this mess. And I think by that time, the exposure of the fraud, of maybe some of the child stuff, right? The adrenochrome, right? All the satanic crap that we hear about. By that time, that'll be exposed right at that perfect that is that perfect day, if you will, that'll be exposed, and 99.9% of people are going to want to go with Trump, right? And that way, it's where we go one, we go all. That's the idea, I think, behind that phrase.
So you bring down the Federal Reserve as a way of presenting to the public, look, we were able to protect the banks here, but the integrity of our entire system is, I mean, the bottom's essentially fallen out. The Federal Reserve is collapsed. We need to have precious metal backed currency, essentially.
Exactly. And I would talk to people that have like investment accounts, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, right? ETFs. I would dump your ETFs in mutual funds. Okay. If the only stock I would hold on to is pure stock in a company, something like a dividend paying. So, some people get, 7-8% a year just by holding that stock. I would focus on American companies, right? Because this is about America first.
Yep.
If you have a retirement account or a brokerage account, I would get rid of those mutual funds and ETFs. Those are the derivatives. That is the stuff I think that will blow up. There will be certain aspects to what people are invested in that they completely lose in, including the crypto market. A lot of these cryptos, probably 95% of them are going straight to hell, right?
I agree.
So I think people, stick to the XRPs, the XLMs,
the
right?
ISO,
Theta Fuel, yeah, the ISO coins, exactly. Yeah. Stick to those. Maybe Bitcoin. I mean, even Bitcoin, I'm starting to have my doubts about. I mean, look, there's people much smarter than me on the crypto subject. They could probably, make a much better case for Bitcoin than I could against Bitcoin.
There's a lot of gray area with Bitcoin.
A lot of gray area, but I think one thing's for sure, and this is what feels good about being in the precious metals, is that those are going to make it through.
Oh yeah.
That stuff's going to make it through, and do it like I always recommend to clients is do it in a coin format if you can. Stick with U.S. coin, United States minted, gold eagles, silver eagles, platinum, palladium. That's the stuff I would get. It's getting very hard to get platinum American eagles. Palladium eagles, I wouldn't even know where to get. But even if you just bought bars in platinum and palladium, that's good enough. I mean, it's really only gold. The gold eagle, there's actually a law in the books that specifically say this is not true for silver or any of the others, but gold eagles have to be minted using gold that was mined within the United States.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting law that no one even knows that. It's one of these. Yeah, it's one of these very abstract laws that I actually researched. Because I'm kind of a student of history with this stuff. So yeah, I would say if you have gold, turn your gold bars into gold coin. Sure, it's going to cost you a little bit of money. You're going to pay probably $50 to maybe $75 to $100 more for a gold eagle than you would a gold bar. But who cares? You know what I mean? You want something that's stamped by the U.S. Treasury, something that's applicable to a monetary system, something that's constitutional. It's a known weight. It's a known purity. You got the blessings of the United States Treasury on it. That's worth a little bit extra money, not much.
Absolutely. And, I love the fact that you started out by saying, just making it clear to everybody that if you think that you've missed the train, you couldn't be more wrong, folks. This is really just the beginning. That's why I'm so excited, because not only have so many of my audience members reached out to you and done business with you, and by the way, come back, several people have come back and done multiple deals with you. They're already getting, first of all, you give them the best possible price. You always say look, you run a business, you make a profit, but you make a modest profit and you give people the best possible deal. They know that. And now your name really is spreading across the truth community. I know you started working with Lewis Herms and Joe and Scott, who actually introduced us. And now you've branched out. I know you're working with News Treason, with Absolute Storm. The word's getting out. Matt Geiger really is the guy to talk to. And so that makes me thrilled. But it's not as if we're bringing you this show and this analysis today, trying to sell you on basically running after the train, trying to catch up to it. Oh, there he is.
He's not kidding. This is the man.
By the way, I loved your cameo in the ad that Matt sent me.
It was actually out in my backyard, my little gazebo, and then we did the other filming at the office. But that was Scott Stone. Scott's become one of my best friends. One of my best friends.
Yeah, you guys are
great guy.
Hey, listen, you want to pull up a chair and join us, man? You're more than welcome.
I would love that, but I have a show actually.
He's got a show. He's going to be out in the gazebo.
5 minutes, so I'll be outside. But always a pleasure.
I was under the
Hopefully-
weather. We were supposed to have a show last weekend, so I got to get with you guys and we got to reschedule.
Let's do it. Yeah, give me a shout. So
sure.
good to see you.
Good to see you, brother.
All
But
right.
yeah, so I mean, as I was saying, it's not like we're trying to tell you, hey guys, hurry up, run after the train. It's leaving the station. I mean, sure, we're seeing historic price movement, so it sounds almost paradoxical, but in terms of where we're headed, as Matt indicated, I mean, we could be looking at $1,000 for a silver spot price. So you're you're still kind of getting in. I wouldn't say necessarily on the ground floor. The people who bought silver when it was like $6, $14, $50. They're just absolutely loving it right now. But for the rest of the folks out there, I mean, if you've been on the fence, and even if you purchased some, but you're thinking about, well, I don't know, is now really a good time? Did I miss the boat here? That's what makes me so excited, is that the window of opportunity is still wide open.
Yeah, and thank you for such nice words. It really does mean a lot, because I want to be a trusted guy in the Patriot community. We have so much coming our way in terms of the changes both in this country and around the world. I mean, it's going to be glorious. The golden age, right? Pun intended. But I truly want to help our community, because I'm just like your viewers. I watch these shows. I'm somebody who, if I see somebody advertised on your show and I call them, I want to be treated like, hey, we're family. I think our community is so tight knit. It's soul family. That's what I always tell people. And what I also tell people, when I've gotten known for, is this expression is, when grandma and grandpa bring me their IRAs, I don't want your grandmother and grandfather's IRA money. You know what I mean? I don't want some. I want to take my little piece, my little commission that I take off of it, and I want them to make the money, and I want that to be handed down to I want that to be generational wealth.
Yep.
So I think doing business with Verity Metals and specifically myself is will help you avoid all the mistakes and all the ripoff and all the basically criminals that exists in my business. It's a really disgusting industry. It's an important industry. Gold and silver ownership couldn't be more important. But unfortunately, you have a bunch of clowns out of places like Los Angeles, who I say on the shows, it's like, they're gold brokers by day in some call center, and then they want to become, Slash and Axl Rose by night. And it's absurd. Come to me, we'll take care of you. And if you don't come to me, nothing wrong with going to a local dealer. Support your local dealers. These guys typically are fantastic. Sometimes you can get to a pawn shop. Maybe they don't have the crazy inventory that you might need on a large purchase, but hey, maybe you can get very close to spot silver. These are places that you can go. I don't want to just, and obviously come to me. I'm happy to help. I've just directed people sometimes, Matt, I want to offload a couple ounces of silver. I said, hey, go build, sure, you can send it in to me and I'm happy to help you, but go find a local dealer, build a relationship. That's always great too. And if you can't, call me. You got a friend over here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we said that last time. I mean, if you have a local dealer, if you have a trusted source, and that's where you've been purchasing from, we're not telling you
Great.
It's like, great, fantastic. But if you don't, and if you also want to support the show in the process and make it basically a 360 win, this is the guy that you want to talk to right here. And so a lot of people. A lot of people are saying, I get comments like this all the time. People say, well, so many people are struggling right now. People can't afford to invest in precious metals. And I'm sure you probably hear that as well. When you do shows, you read the comments, people will say things along those lines. I know what my response is to that, but I'm actually curious to hear yours, because, the reality is, yes, people are struggling financially, but what we're presenting here is an opportunity for folks to actually achieve financial freedom. So I wanted to hear from you a little bit, just to talk about, like, when you hear folks saying that, what is your typical response?
So when I would tell people, if you're really, living paycheck to paycheck, et cetera, and you just don't have the ability to buy silver, it's $100 is a lot of money, plus premium, it's quite a bit. And I think we've talked about it on the show before, but I'll tell people again, go to your local bank and pick up things like rolls of quarters, rolls of nickels, and rolls of dimes. Why? Matter of fact, before I came on the show today, I had breakfast with my really good friend Josh, and he was telling me, he's like, Matt, I want to buy copper. I said, you want to buy copper? Like, okay, I think if you want copper, just go to your bank and get a roll of quarters, because again, it's stamped, right? Your quarters today are 92.5% copper. That's the best form of copper. Is a quarter, is a nickel, or a dime. Pennies before 1982 are copper. Anything from 1982 until now, it's 82 or 83, are zinc, which is still great, right? Your change, what you got to remember is there's three types of monetary systems. You have a fiat monetary system, which is what we're in now, right? That's money backed by nothing. Then you have what's called a commodity money system, where the commodities in the means of exchange. That's the change in your piggy bank, right? Or it used to be silver, right? It used to be silver in pre-64 coinage, quarters, right? Half dollars, dimes. They used to be made of silver. So the commodities in the means of exchange. Then you have a representative money system, which is like the old gold certificates or silver certificates, right? Those blue bills, right? With the blue seal, right? Those silver certificates. That meant that those silver certificates, for every $1 that was issued, there was a $1 piece of silver that would represent it behind it. So they couldn't print more of those bills than they could, right? So it represented the silver or the gold that existed behind that bill. So you have those three types of monetary systems. So what are we saying here? The change in your piggy bank actually operates in a different monetary system than the bills in your wallet or the money you have in your savings account. Mm-hmm. So all a person that maybe doesn't have the means to do is go take a $10 bill. Okay. Everybody can find $10 somewhere. Okay. And go get a roll of quarters.
There you go.
That's a great way. Right. And remember what Trump said in 2015 when he was campaigning, he says, hold on to those change jars, folks. Hold on to those change jars. So hang on. Let me give you an example of that.
So glad I asked this. And actually somebody in the comments said, and I'm a live show today. I'm trying to do as best I can to be responsive. Yannick Dogs, and
get those change jars. I hold those change jars.
Yeah.
Okay. Get those change jars, and you can go to your bank. I picked this up from a bank. This is an old Eisenhower, right? Great coins to get. Half dollars. They may not be silver, right? But they produce them. You can get Kennedy half dollars. This is just an easy way for people that are on a shoestring budget. Don't ever take your change to Coinstar. Don't ever take your change to Coin.
Never. Yeah.
Stack it in your house. Stack it in your house, and that's a great way to accumulate real wealth. I think what people need to start to appreciate is, I remember as a kid back in the day, I used to be able to go to the store and throw a quarter and be able to get, a candy bar or something basic. Today, it's $3. It's crazy. So I think when we deflate the system and we go back to 1940s or 1950s pricing where, milk's a quarter again, this change jar is actually going to be worth this. I could feed myself for probably a couple months just with this change jar alone by the time we're said and done.
Boom.
Right?
So there's your answer, folks. Okay. If you are struggling, and certainly we, Matt and I are very, very sympathetic to that. We're not trying to get people in a situation that's that doesn't make financial sense for them. If you don't have the money to buy precious metals, we're not here telling you, to overextend yourself, but there are ways that you can actually accumulate physical metals like Matt just described to really see yourself through this incredible transition that we're going through right now. Now, the other thing I wanted to quickly touch upon before we transition into what's going on in Minneapolis and kind of talking about the world stage, a lot of people are looking at this and they're saying, well, it seems as if, Trump is, we all know where this is going because of all the comms that have been delivered by the White Hats, right? The golden age. Everything in the White House is just ordained in gold. And it's like, that's the way that we know the direction that we're headed. But a lot of folks are looking at it and they're saying, we're hearing Trump say we got to protect the U.S. dollar. And it seems as if he's trying to prop up the fiat system by strengthening the petrodollar, doing what we just did in Venezuela. Of course, I believe this was all a replay, as you know, to strengthen the petrodollar. And essentially, he hasn't really he's given folks the impression that we're going to pay off the debt by essentially growing our way out of the debt, right? So those are the optics that we're being presented with. How do you think, when do you think that transition is going to take place? Do you really, and how far off do you think we are before we actually start hearing? You touched upon it a little bit before, but when are we going to start hearing Trump make concrete statements, not just comms, but concrete statements that we actually do?
He already has.
Go ahead.
He already has. Trump has raised through tariffs and new business and investment in this country, how much right now over the course of the year? Was it $25 trillion?
Something like that. Yeah.
He's already done it. It's already happening. In other words, the transition, as we said before, right? 2020, the Treasury taking over the powers of the Fed, it's already been happening. We just don't see it yet, right? It's just what we can't see.
What I mean, like optically, when are people going to go, oh wow, okay, Trump is he's leading us back into.
Well, what he's doing with the debt, the reason why I think gold and silver are going to do just absolutely phenomenally this year, I think it's going to surpass this prediction of $200-300 silver. Okay, I think we're looking at $500 to $900 silver. Let's call it $500,000 silver by the end of the year. Why is that? Because I think this will be the year of Trump severely devaluing the U.S. dollar, severely devaluing. That's why gold's moving up. Gold has a direct correlation to the strength of the dollar. Silver should, but because of the price suppression, it's not as good a gauge and as good as clear a measure. Eventually, it will, but for right now, Trump, I see him severely devaluing the dollar. The precious metals prices are going to respond going up while the dollar's going down and other investment goes down. And what does that do? It makes dealing with debts much, much easier, right? So if you devalue the currency, that means that the debt really is worth less. So I think, after negotiating, eventually what Trump's probably going to wind up doing is the debt is too overwhelming. Forget the national debt. Let's look at, the derivatives and all the stuff that exists in our system. It's in the quadrillions of dollars. So this is going to require a bankruptcy by the time this is all said and done. Trump's going to have to walk this country.
That people really are going to probably lose their shirt on it. Like if you're investing.
That's what people, exactly. That's what, right now, what he's doing with these higher precious metals prices is he's really strengthening the precious metals market. He's getting the market cap from gold and silver to these astronomical numbers so that people could realistically transition their wealth to gold and silver. And eventually we'll be at a price where we could pretty much have a pretty easy transition moving from fiat back to gold and silver. So, as I always tell people, it's not that we're moving to a new system. It's more that we're moving back to an old system, right? And we're going to update that system. We're going to simplify it. We're going to add technology to it. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be based. It's still going to be gold and silver backed. So I think at the end of the day, what he's trying to do is he's going to greatly devalue the dollar over the course of time. And don't forget, it's not just the dollar that is a fiat currency. It's all the currencies around the world. So this is a worldwide phenomenon. Right. So Europe's got to figure out their business. That's why he's strengthening our hemisphere, down in South America. Right. We just took out Venezuela, Mexico, Cuba. Right. We're taking these countries over. We're going to clean up Brazil. Eventually, I think we're going to get Canada. OK, Canada will become the 51st state, just as he said. Yep. OK, and probably we're going to exist hemispherically for probably a good 4 or 5 years when this whole event, whatever it looks like, goes down, because Europe, I would not want to be a European right now. They don't have a Trump. They've got a complete mess on their hands. Okay, but when things start to crumble over there, it's going to be a lot easier to come in and help them when they're in disarray as the United States, right? Because we'll lead the way by demonstrating, hey, we did this transition on our own. We made it through. We can help you too. I think it's 1776 worldwide. I think the globalists had a plan to turn the whole world into a globalist communist hellhole. And I think Trump's plan was to do exactly what they were going to do to us, to them, and turn the entire world effectively into the United States.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Absolutely. And, and that's the way I see it. Again, it's just like everything else, the way that Trump operates. He says, he says we got to make sure that the dollar remains the world reserve currency. We can't devalue the dollar, et cetera, et cetera. So out of one side of his mouth, he says that, but the policies are actually doing exactly the opposite, right?
Exactly.
It's a controlled demolition. And that's really what I wanted to focus on there. So, this is an incredible time to be alive. I can't even believe that we're witnessing this history right now. I mean, every day I wake up and I look at the price of metals and everything that's going on in the world, and I think to myself, my goodness, this is actually happening. Like we are really,
we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, well, let's pivot here a little bit. And I see you got your Quality Learing Center hoodie on there. I absolutely love that. And it's a perfect way to talk about what everybody is, what everybody's looking at right now in terms of Minnesota. So this seems to be ground zero once again. We all recall back in 2020, the Summer of Love, the George Floyd incident, and now we had the Renee Good situation, and then just today, we had another event there, a shooting. So let me go ahead and pull up some of the footage here. I'm sure that probably most folks have seen it by now. but it is absolutely incredible. Actually, the original footage that I saw, it was very difficult to see what was actually transpiring in terms of this shooting that took place here. Let me end that one and pull this up, and let's take a look at this and see what we can make out here. Now, again, do I think this is all part of the scripted movie? You better believe it. But let me just play this, and I'll get your take on it.
That is police brutality. They are hitting that observer. They are kicking them in the face. Taylor. What the fuck? What in the fuck?
What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
All right, so that's just one angle, and I believe there are some other angles as well. Let me see if I can pull this up, because now the question that a lot of people are asking is, was this individual disarmed before he was actually shot? So let me pull this one up. Let's take a look at it. Now, this is also, I mean, all this stuff is very fluid, as people know, so we're kind of working on the fly here. But let me back this one up and let's play it. So this says, and this was put out by Praying Medic. He said, this video shows a plainclothes cop removing the suspect's gun in the scuffle, but the other cops did not know that. The suspect reaches for his gun, not knowing that it had been removed from its holster. The uniformed cop sees the suspect reaching for the now missing gun and assumes the suspect is going to begin shooting, so the cop kills him. So let's just take a look at this here. You see his hands empty. Slow down footage. Okay, his hands empty. So now it looks like he's got the gun in his hand. I don't know what that's circle. All right, so some kind of weird background music there. I don't know what's going on with that, but so like I said, very fluid situation. We'll have to see what transpires, but obviously this is all blowing up big time. The streets are absolute chaos, and I'm sure folks have seen clips as we get into deeper into the day, into the nighttime. People, I mean, they're already lighting dumpsters on fire. They're deploying all types of tear gas. The local police have been told to stand down. We all know that just a couple of days ago, Tim Walz told everybody to keep getting in their face, keep resisting, etc. Now, this individual, I understand, is initially it was reported he was a guy in his 50s who was an illegal, but now they're saying that he was a 37-year-old American citizen legally and was licensed to carry a firearm, etc. However, never a good idea to resist to resist, number one, but I think probably even before that, it's not a good idea to show up and impede the actions of law enforcement, especially if you're armed with a firearm. So what's your initial take on this, Matt? And we'll kind of break it down a little bit.
I mean, look, I don't want to see anybody get killed or shot by police. You know, there are bad cops out there. You know, I'm going to wait for information to come out. I'm going to always reserve judgment. I'm not going to just jump on some bandwagon where, you know, our side says, oh, he had a gun and, you know, it was in his hand. It's clearly in the video. And here we are watching it. I feel like we're watching, you know, Sunday football. You know, was the guy's foot inbounds or out of bounds? Well, at least people are watching real events as opposed to, you know, nonsensical, you know, sports ball. But I'm just going to reserve judgment. I don't really have much an opinion on this stuff. I mean, clearly the deep state's trying to, you know, drum up confrontation, violence, right? This is what they do. So I would tread very carefully with this stuff, because this is how they continue their nonsense. And remember, we're in fear-based trauma, right? Programming. So this is stuff that continues that fear-based trauma. So I try to ignore it, because I'm always actively trying to deprogram myself. I think we're all programmed to some extent. I'm always just trying to deprogram myself from whatever I see on, what's the TV telling me to do today? Like I'm done with it. I'm kind of done with it.
No, I hear you, man. I absolutely do. And when we were talking backstage, you said, well, what's your initial take on it? And I said that, and this is essentially what I always say to my audience, is that it's my instinct is that it's always a psyop until proven otherwise.
Right.
And we know that the white hats have the ability to stage events that are a lot more complex than this. So, this is really just child's play. But the big question is on everybody's mind is, how long is it going to be? What's it going to take in order for us to get to the actual public invocation of the Insurrection Act? I believe that we've been under continuity of government for years at this point, that Trump already invoked it. And everything that we're witnessing on the domestic stage, everything that we're seeing play out on the geopolitical stage, which you can maybe touch upon in a moment. China is, I don't know if you saw this, but they're now basically replaying the purging of all the top military generals. Essentially, Xi Jinping has taken out all of his top military brass. They're talking about a coup d'etat. This occurred years ago. And so they're replaying all of this stuff. We got the situation going on in Iran. So the way I look at it, broad spectrum, and even in terms of the financial stuff, you were just talking about, this goes back to 2020. So what we're seeing play out right now is essentially the rollout of things that have already happened. We are watching a scripted movie. I'm 1,000% convinced of that. Having said that, do I think that there's always a possibility that some sort of an organic event could take place surrounding this? Let's face it, there's 4 to 6% that are going to be lost forever. There are an awful lot of hardcore leftists out there. We can't necessarily assume that every single person on the street is part of the 60,000 man army. So is it possible that something like this could play out organically? Yes, I fully admit that. But the fact that it's always the timing that I look at. So we had the Quality Layering Center, right? This Nick Shirley video that went absolutely viral. And then, wouldn't you know it, just immediately after that, again, the optics of the movie, to cause a distraction, what do we have? We have the Renee Good situation take place, and that erupts. And then, and then we find out that Tim Walz and Jacob Frey and Keith Ellison have all been served subpoenas. The walls are closing in on them. And now we have yet another event take place in Minneapolis, after that was essentially the epicenter of the insurrection that took place back in 2020. Replays are necessary. So my instinct is always to say that this is all just part of the movie. All
while the Clintons are ignoring their subpoena.
Yes.
That Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon went to prison for however many months, right? We're seeing that.
Well, the two-tier justice system is on full display. We just saw the whole situation, and again, in Minneapolis with Don Lemon and all of those quote unquote activists storming into the church. They get arrested, they get charged, not Lemon yet. We'll have to see what plays out with that. But there were 3 individuals that got arrested, and they've already been released on their own recognizance. Meanwhile, after January 6th, again, as the story goes, we had individuals that were in prison for months in solitary confinement without any actual, legitimate due process. And this is all being presented, again, to the American people to show them. You have to show the people. You can't tell them where we're at in terms of the two-tier justice system in this country.
And to add to that, we also saw the Gateway Pundit release a story that was then retracted. But I don't think it was retracted because it wasn't true. But they came out with a story, this is probably 2-3 weeks ago. This is right when Shirley came out with his stuff. This is maybe a couple days or a week later. But Officer Byrd, who shot Ashley Babbitt dead on January 6th at the Capitol, they came on the story saying he was running a daycare center out of his home in Maryland, and he received $190 million from HHS. Officer Byrd.
Yep. Yep.
It's like people don't understand what's about to come out about these people. It's going to be that bizarre. Like, okay, this guy from January 6th who shot this girl. Okay, he's running a daycare center that we know from the Minnesota stuff and all around the country now are turned out to be complete frauds. This guy received $200 million. Like, what is going on here? What's going to wind up happening is we're going to pull the veil off the system, and it's going to be complete fraud. It's going to be the whole system's fraud.
The whole system. No doubt
The whole
about it.
system. Everything A to Z. Everything A to Z.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree with you more, man. And that's really what this is all about. I mean, Minnesota seems to be the epicenter. It's all everything is happening there, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be localized to Minnesota. This is just the beginning. And when people are asking the question, well, what's it going to take? How long until we actually see the public invocation of the Insurrection Act? My instinct is that because there's an awful lot of people putting pressure on Trump out there, people who don't really understand or aren't dialed into the truth community, specifically the Q operation. They don't really know that they're watching a scripted movie. So everyone's going, how long is this going to go on? We need the Insurrection Act now. Call in the military. Listen, if Trump decides to do it tonight, I would be absolutely doing cartwheels. Everybody knows that. However, to me, it seems as if this is where it's beginning, but this has to spread, folks. This is going to get much, much worse, and it's going to spread across the country. Right now, we're in January, and I happen to think that this is going to be a steady drumbeat, and it might be an unpopular take that's probably going to go on for a few months, at least, until Trump actually pulls the trigger, because he wants to get the people on his side. The overwhelming majority have to be in favor of overt military intervention. And at this point, I kind of wonder about that. If he were to do, again, timing is everything. If he were to do it preemptively, if he were to do it too quickly, the optics in many ways could backfire. It could look as if that, essentially the leftist narrative that Trump is a dictator and so on and so forth. I think they really have to let this dumpster fire kind of get out of control before they actually go ahead and pull the lever. What's your take on that?
Totally. I agree with everything you said. It's got to, I would expect some election information to start coming out because we have the 2026 midterms coming up. Our buddy Lewis, Herms for the number 4 Cali.com, Herms for Cali. If you can donate to Lewis, that would be great. We need paper ballots. And that's, if the Democrats seize power through, whatever fraud or whatever little tactics they're going to use this time, this could really set back, the restoration of this country a great deal. We need to win these midterms, and we need to do it through free and fair elections. So I expect between now and, whenever the elections are, whether in September, October, November, somewhere in there, I think we're going to see a lot of election information start to come out. So Trump's going to start bringing up it'll be the elections, and then he'll start dropping information about COVID, right? He'll start dropping different pieces, and those, each one will take on a life of their own. They're going to all spider web out into corruption and fraud, right? And you're just going to have this web, this massive web of corruption that people are just going to sit there and you either accept the truth in the information or you don't. And hopefully by that time, that wakes enough people up where we can start bringing some of these people. They don't even have to come over to our side, but at least if they start thinking critically, we can start having a dialogue with them. Right now, we can't have a dialogue with these people. When Nick Shirley was out front of that, when he went back to Minnesota and went back to that facility, you had this, brain dead liberal saying, "Oh, they were calling him ICE," and he's like, "No, I'm here about fraud." And she just kept saying, "Get out of here, ICE! Get out of here, ICE!" And he's like, "No. Here's the money this place received. Here's the official documentation of the $1.9 million. We're not ICE. We're not here to arrest anybody. We're here about fraud, right?" So we want to get these people to start thinking critically so that we can start actually getting this information through to them. But I mean, I'm also under the idea that I don't care about these people. It's like, if you don't see it by now, screw you. Let's just go in and just clean house. Waltz was part of that lady's murder allegedly, right? That killer of that woman who put through the healthcare, who stopped the healthcare for illegal. She was the deciding vote, who wound up dead, right? She was assassinated by that whoever that guy's. That guy went back to the police station, and from what I heard, he said Tim Waltz put him up to it.
Yep. I think it's
Right?
all part of the movie, man. I really do. I honestly, man, but I agree
I'm
with
getting
you.
worked up.
No, it's awesome. I love the passion. That's and the folks out there love it too. Again, I think this is all part of the movie. Everything from Nick Shirley. None of this stuff is really happening organically. This is all scripted with military precision. They're rolling it out, and the way that you can tell is just it's always the timing. I mean, there's the comms and all of that stuff that just accentuates it.
Right.
And underscores that, that you're watching a movie, but the timing, things don't play out like this in real life. I mean, you think about it. You mentioned 2020. Okay. Trump, it was probably about a month ago now. He was on, I think, Fox News, and he said, oh, yeah, over the next couple of months, you're going to see all the evidence come out about 2020. Essentially, that's basically what he said. He also said very recently, I don't really think we even need to have midterms, which I found very interesting. And, so look, I think that what we're looking at here and the way that you characterize it, it was really spot on, is that it's not just about the unrest, quote unquote, that's happening in Minnesota right now. All right. This is like I said, it's the epicenter, but it's going to fissure out and it's going to spread out into a million different directions. We're going to get the truth about 2020. And if you think that that's not going to have a massive impact in some way, shape, or form in terms of the midterms, you're crazy, because that's exactly the way that they're rolling this out. Is they're going to prove to the public that 2020 was actually stolen. Then there's the question about the filibuster, passing election integrity laws, et cetera, et cetera. Don't forget, Q told us back in 2017 that elections at this point are basically meaningless, saying that we are under continuity of government. So regardless of where you stand on that, I totally understand that there's a tendency for us to say, well, screw all these people if they're not going to wake up. The reality of the matter is, and there's a part of me that agrees with that, but there are a lot more people that are awake right now and aware than what the optics are presenting to us.
Totally.
Don't forget, 46% lost forever, never going to wake up, way too brainwashed. That's a hell of a lot of people in a country of 300 plus million. 4-6% is not a small number. And that's kind of what I was saying before about, could a lot of these individuals out in the streets of Minneapolis right now? Absolutely. No doubt about it. But the vast majority, like 90+% of the country, by the time they're actually ready to get the tanks on the streets, the military presence overtly in all of these blue cities, that it has to reach that fever pitch. And it's also going to accompany, I happen to think, big time arrests. May not be Hillary right away, or may not be some of the super big fish, but we're going to start to see a steady drumbeat of high profile arrests. We're going to get the truth about 2020. We're going to get the truth about COVID. We're going to get more information about Epstein. All of these things are going to converge at once. It really is going to be the perfect storm. And that's just on the domestic front. We already covered what's likely to happen in terms of the financial. And then you've also got the geopolitical that's going to play out. Remember, Trump said that China is going to invade Taiwan after the Olympics, but he said that years ago, but he never actually said what Olympics he was
right.
So it seems like everything is kind of lining up right now. And on that front, you've got all of this news coming out of China. You've got the optics of Canada aligning, and Trump basically saying you better not do that after essentially planting the U.S. flag from day one of his third term, saying Canada is going to be our 51st state. I mean, you can see, I guess my point here is that you can see all of these pieces of the puzzle starting to really come together in 2026. And totally. I think it's going to be one hell of a ride, man. Absolutely. It's incredible.
Get your gold and silver.
Yeah, get your gold and silver for sure. So, yeah, and I actually, while you were talking, I saw this just to kind of underscore the point that we're watching a movie. Watch this. A wheelchair-bound ICE protester seems to temporarily have a divine intervention and is able to stand up out of his wheelchair.
They came out. I know the smell of smoke. Not sure what just happened there. But you guys can see the amount of crap that's now on the ground out here.
All right. I mean, come on, man.
Was that Greg Abbott?
Yeah. I mean, we are totally watching a scripted movie, and it's.
I will say Jasmine Crockett's when she called Greg Abbott Hot Wheels, I thought that was pretty funny because I've seen video of Greg Abbott moving his legs in a helicopter. Have you seen that video?
No.
He's not wheelchair bound. He can walk.
Really?
He's faking it. Yeah, he's faking it. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hot Wheels.
Yeah. This is crazy, man. And here's another video that they just keep popping up here. I just want to show this to folks. I mean, again, this is a rapidly unfolding situation here. Oh yeah, and then you got this dude. You've probably seen him all over the place. This Antifa guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Basically telling everybody to go out and kill ICE. Let's listen to this guy. And again, are we watching a movie? You tell me.
My name is Kyle. I'm Antifa, and there's so much rage in me that I've had to record this like 15 times trying to get the message out. They fucked up. Okay? Go watch my other videos. Doesn't matter if you're not here and you're not caught up. You missed the fucking fight. But if you are, it's time to suit up. Boots on the ground. Nicollet and fucking 26th. My house is 4 blocks away. Anywhere between Franklin and Nicollet and 26th and Nicollet. Show up, ready to go. Okay? Not talking about peaceful protests anymore. We're not talking about having polite conversations anymore. I am talking specifically to my fucking followers. This is everything I have fucking talked about, and this is exactly what I said was going to happen. This is exactly what I said was going to fucking come when we didn't fucking go and march on fucking Whipple with guns.
So, language warning here. I mean, I probably should have warned folks ahead of time. I mean, do you really think in the real world, I mean, this guy has been all over social media telling people to go out and kill law enforcement. He's giving them their address and saying, show up here. This guy he already would have been swept up. There's no way that they would allow this type of stuff to go on. So that's just another example that to me, just, these are things that in a real organic situation, real world situation would not be playing out this way. So here's another angle of the shooting just so folks can see. So there you have it, folks. We'll see where this all goes. Like I said, Matt, and I think Matt's right. You gotta reserve judgment. I mean, everybody knows that where I stand in terms of the optics that we're being presented, the ability of them to stage these types of events. It's really quite simple when you fully appreciate the abilities of military intelligence and what they can pull off. This is child's play. All right. So again, interested to see how this plays out, where it goes. But the point being here, folks, is that we really are seeing things escalate very rapidly, and that's exactly what we've all been waiting for. Right. This is the moment. These are the moments that are going to lead us into the eye of the storm. And so now I guess we can kind of come full circle here from where we started and talk a little bit more about how you can position yourself financially by purchasing precious metals through Verity. Let me go ahead and once again put the number up here. I know Matt's got it right on the screen. I also have it on a ticker here. You can go to veritymetals.com/patriot. And you can also just, if you want to just skip that, you can just give Matt a call at Okay, you have a different number up there, but it doesn't matter.
That's my personal number. So people want to call me directly, just say, "Hey,
Yeah,
Patriots," and it's all good. We talk to everybody. We're very busy, so if I don't answer for any reason, shoot me a text, shoot me an email. It's just my first name, Matthew, full name Matthew, not Geiger, just Matthew at veritymetals.com. I'm trying to get to everybody. I know everybody's been calling in, and it's like I've been working 12, 13-hour days, 6 a.m. to 6, 7 p.m. It's crazy, but there's still inventory. There's no shortage. There's a little bit of delay on shipping. You're probably looking about your stuff will probably go out within a week. I expect those wait times to probably increase. I would think beginning of the week, you'll probably see some price movement back up. I think we're going to start seeing some pretty rapid movement. So anybody that's got, IRAs and processing, my team's all over it. I would just say people that do have things like retirement accounts, right? Cash purchases, call me up, boom, secure the number. We get the stuff out to you and we get it out to you. But IRAs, 401ks, I would definitely tell people like anticipate this stuff, take this information, all these other great podcasts and Patriot channels out there that are kind of echoing some of the same sentiments that we are. Just keep in mind, an IRA is going to take a couple weeks to complete from start to finish. So, just keep that in mind. And, it's no false sense of urgency from me. It's just, I want to see everybody get, obviously the lowest price possible, the best inventory available. Right. So, just whenever people are ready, obviously happy to talk to you.
Right. And you and I have been in pretty consistent contact. I'm always curious, how are things going after we do a show? What's been the reaction of the audience? And I've actually talked about this on other shows when you've come up, and your response is like, man, you don't even realize the phones have been ringing off the hook, literally ringing off the hook. And I've actually had some people say, well, I'm trying to get in touch with Matt, but I'm having a difficult time. It's because he's so busy, folks. That's really the reason he's working.
Email me or text me, because I don't care if I have to call you at 9:00 at night. I'll work a 15-hour day if I have to, because I know it's important for people. The best thing you could do is text that 480 number that's under my name. Text that and just say, hey, Matt, it's Jim, or Matt, it's Kathy, or whoever. And just say, hey, I want to get together, and see if you can, maybe find some time in the evening, whatever it is. What's funny is I'm hardly even scheduling appointments. Like, you can go on my website and schedule a Zoom call with me. Those are the ones that I always make it to. Just for the people that do it really early in the morning. I know some of you East Coasters, you have it at like 6 a.m. my time. Just do it at like 7 or 8 or maybe 9, but you can put yourself right in my calendar. But I'm trying to get to everybody. We're gonna hopefully get some help here. Just at least getting in touch with people, filtering the calls. I'll reach out to everybody personally, and we can chat it up. And your audience has been amazing. It's always it makes the job fun. Your people are just it's salt of the earth, Patriots through and through. And I really I appreciate everybody that's come on board. And I'm grateful for the business, but it's almost like I'm more grateful for the confidence. And I appreciate everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And we appreciate you. And clearly the results speak for themselves. The fact that so many people
We're doing a great job. You're doing a great job in the
community. Yep.
We take care of you. I'm one of you. I'm no different than your audience. I'm just another one of you guys. So it's an honor to serve them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right. Well, we could probably wrap this up, I think, at this point. There's been a lot of stuff that's been transpiring today. I'm keeping my eye here. I got like one eye on my X feed, just watching all this stuff out, because this is the type of stuff that I live for, man. I think it's fantastic. But the fact that everything is unfolding, like I said, all these different puzzle pieces are coming together here, folks. The transition, the big moments, that icebreaker moment that's going to just open up the floodgates. I can feel it happening. And I'm not suggesting that I think it's all going to play out like over the next week or the next month. Or I even said earlier in the show, I think it's probably going to be several more months of steady tension and buildup before we finally get to that moment. But we're actually living through history right now. And it's so exciting. It's absolutely, it's amazing. It's just incredible. And to be able to take all this take all of this in and to share it and to bounce ideas off it with great patriots like Matt. And that's the thing. He's not just a businessman. He's an anon. And that's one of the things that I love about him, because I can have him on the show and we can actually talk about the issues as they're playing out. But the big picture here, folks, is that we're getting close. And I'm really excited about it. So
Me too. Me too.
With that, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in today. We had a nice audience. I think between X and Rumble, we had over 1,000 people tune in, which not bad for a Saturday afternoon, especially when so many things are going on. People are, they got a lot to pay attention to. So we really appreciate you guys taking the time to spend with us today. I'm going to be back with you folks on Monday with Mike King after a 2-week hiatus. Mike was sick 1 week, and then I was sick last week, but very, very excited to get back in the saddle and bring you guys some great analysis. And then later in the week, I do have a show scheduled with SG Anon. It's been quite a while since he and I have sat down. So hopefully that'll take place. Sometimes SG and I, we have a difficult time with scheduling, but we both spoke behind the scenes. We really want to sit down and do another show. And then a week from today, I've got my good friend, the Maestro. He's going to be welcoming me back on his platform. So that should be a good one as well. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Awesome.
God bless.
Thank you.
Everybody,
God bless.
make sure you give this guy a call, Matt Geiger at Verity Metals. Again, the number is 480-717-9081. We'll see you folks soon. God bless and Godspeed, everybody. Patriot out.
Thank you.